Oh. Okay. All right. And, we have the verse written here.
Okay.
In both English transliteration and Devanagari.
Wow.
For all those who read Devanagari. Vishnu wrote it there.
Vishnu, you read?
Oh. Very, very nice. And we have a few copies. Okay.
You want to read together, Vishnu? Yeah, Vishnu. Yes, you just love Krishna. Because it's considered as balance.
We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 10, entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions.
Right.
Nice name for a chapter. Text number 23 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Text 23. Let's see. Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Vastuno Mridu Katina.
Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Lagu Urvosna Siktatam.
Lagu Sitatam.
Lagu Urvosna Siktatam.
Lagu Sitatam.
Lagu Urvosna Siktatam.
Lagu Sitatam.
Jigrik Shatastvan Nirvina.
Jigrik Satastvan 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 Nirvina.
Tasyam Roma Mahi Buddha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
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 Tatra Chantar Vipahirvatas.
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 Tvacha Labdha Gunovita.
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 Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Vastuno Mridu Katinya.
Urvosna Stitatam.
Lagu Urvosna Stitatam.
Jigrik Satastvan Nirvina.
Jigrik Satastvan Nirvina.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Chantar Vipahirvatas.
Tatra Chantar Vipahirvatas.
Tvacha Labdha Gunovita.
Tvacha Labdha Gunovita.
Vastunom Ridu Katina.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Lagu Groshna Sitatam.
Lagu Roshna Shitatam.
Jigrikshata Swan Nirdina.
Jigrishata Svanirvina.
Nasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Vachalata Guno Vrita.
Vachalata Guno Vrita.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Lagu Roshna Shitatam.
Lagu Roshna Shitatam.
Jigrikshata Nirvina.
Jigrikshata Svanirvina.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Vachalabdha Gunovita.
Vachalabdha Gunovita.
Go ahead. No, people.
Vastunum Ridu Katinya.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Lagu Gurvoshna Shitatam.
Lagu Roshna Shitatam.
Jigrikshatastva Nirvina. Tasyam Roma Mahiruha. Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas. Vachalabdha Gunovita.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Lagu Roshna Shitatam.
Lagu Gurvoshna Shitatam.
Jigrikshata Swam Nirvina.
Jigrikshata Swan Nirvina.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Vachanta Bahirvatas.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Vachalabdha Gunovitaha.
Vachalabdha Gunovita.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Lagu Guru Vakoshna Sitatam.
Lagu Gurvoshna Shitatam.
Jigrikshata Svanirvina.
Jigrikshata Svan Nirvina.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Vachalabdha Gunovitaha.
Vachalabdha Gunovita. Would someone online like to chant the verse?
Yes. Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Vastunom Ridu Katinya.
Lagu Gurvoshna Shitanatam.
Lagu Gurvoshna Shitatam.
Jigrikshata Swam Nirvina.
Jigrikshata Svan Nirvina.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tasyam Roma Mahiruha.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas.
Vachalabdha Gunovrita.
Vachalabdha Gunovita.
Okay, word for word. Vastuna.
Vasuna.
Of all matter.
All matter.
Mridu.
Mridu.
Softness.
Softness.
Katinya.
Katinya.
Hardness.
Hardness.
Lagu.
Lagu.
Lightness.
Lightness.
Guru.
Guru.
Heaviness.
Heaviness.
Oshna.
Oshna.
Warmness.
Warmness.
Sitatam.
Shitatam.
Coldness.
Coldness.
Jigrikshata.
Jigrikshata.
Desiring to perceive.
Desiring to perceive.
Tvak.
Tva,
the touch sensation,
the touch sensation,
Nirbina,
Nirvana,
distributed,
distributed,
Tasyam,
Tasyam,
in the skin,
in the skin,
Roma,
Roma,
hairs on the body,
hairs on the body,
Mahi, Ruha,
Mahiruha,
as well as the trees,
as well as the trees,
the controlling deities,
the controlling deities,
Tatra,
Tatra,
there,
there,
Cha,
Cha,
also,
also,
Anta,
Anta,
within,
within,
Bahi,
Mahi,
outside,
outside,
Tata,
Tata,
Twacha, Twacha, the sense of touch or the skin,
the sense of touch or the skin,
Labda,
Labda,
having been perceived,
having been perceived,
Guna,
Guna,
objects of sense perception,
objects of sense perception,
Brita,
Rita,
generated.
generated.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent. Do you usually repeat that? Or not necessarily?
Not usually,
Okay,
but it's definitely an option.
okay. All right, purport. The physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, are subjects of sense perception, and thus physical knowledge is the subject matter of the touch sensation. One can measure the temperature of matter by touching with the hand, and one can measure the weight of an object by lifting it with the hand, and thus estimate its heaviness or lightness. The skin pores, and the hairs on the body are all interdependent with the touch sensation. The air blowing within and outside the skin is also an object of sense perception. This sense perception is also a source of knowledge. And therefore, it is suggested here that physical or physiological knowledge is subordinate to the knowledge of the self, as above mentioned. Knowledge of the self can expand to the knowledge of phenomena, but physical knowledge cannot lead to knowledge of the self. There is, however, an intimate relation between the hairs on the body and the vegetation on the body of the earth. The vegetables are nourishment for the skin, both as food and medicine, as stated in the third canto, Tvacham Asya Vinir Binam Vivishur Dishyam Oshadi. Vastuno Midu Katinya Lagu Poshna Sitatam Jigrikshitas Twan Nirbina Tasyam Roma Mahiraha Tatra Chantar Bahirvatas Tvacha Labda Guno Rita Om Gyana Tamarandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chapsur Tasman Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Naranam Namastu Jayanam Chaivanam Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Toja Madhuraya. So we're continuing this chapter again. Bhagavatam answered all questions. And we've been, I read from the beginning of the chapter a little bit. Shukadeva Goswami, he's been explaining the creation, how it's, how the Lord creates. How everything winds up, like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, right? and I think it's in the 7th chapter, how the universe is withdrawn, again and again.
Bhutva.
That's what it, yeah.
Eighth chapter.
What's the, the
Eighth
translation of that verse?
Oh,
Again and again is coming, right?
yes.
It's so Mahavishnu is breathing,
Yeah.
right? He's breathing. It's incredible when you think Krishna's greatness. It's inconceivable how great Krishna is. Just not even Krishna. Of course, we know Krishna has nothing to do, really. He's the supreme. All these are his expansions. His Vishnu expansions, like, he'll take a candle and light another candle. You can light millions and billions of unlimited candles, and they all got the same potency. That flame has the same potency. So these are the Lord Krishna's expansions. It starts as Lord Balaram, and then from Balaram, the expansions, and then Mahavishnu is an expansion, and he's just breathing like we're breathing. We've been here, just the last few minutes. We've had so many breaths. So that's Lord Vishnu. Each breath is the life of Lord Brahma, right? In and out, in and out. Very quickly for Lord Krishna, a life of Brahma coming and going. So again, this is the inconceivable greatness of the Lord. Like we have, my brother and I were just speaking briefly about the Bible this morning. The Bible is there, of course. It's teachings of God, but a very vague description of God. God is great, don't commit sin, don't commit adultery, don't steal. But the conception of God isn't there. In most of these shastras, there's no real conception of who God is, what is his greatness, what is address. Srila Prabhupada says we give everything concerning the Lord in his creation, his address, and how to get there, how to return to this abode which we so unfortunately left. We've been here for not one or two or half a dozen births, but millions of births we've been here. We may not remember, but this is a shastric injunction. Yes, many, many millions of births we've been here. Finally, we've come to the point where we've come in contact by extreme, inconceivable great fortune. We've come in contact with Krishna's pure representative, Srila Prabhupada, who has descended from Goloka on the Lord's order to come and deliver us fallen souls. So here we have this wonderful opportunity. So Shukadeva Goswami, he's talking in the beginning about Mahavishnu, how he winds everything up, how Krishna is a supreme person, supreme personality of Godhead, as Krishna states over and over in Bhagavad Gita. He's a person, and he's origin, shelter of all. Everything's existing only because of him. And then it goes on to describe how hunger, thirst was created, the tongue, different tastes were there. When the Lord desired to speak, and speech was there. When he desired to smell, the nostrils were created. And when he desired to see himself, the wonderful sun was created. And how the sun is there illuminating the whole universe. Without the sun, we know this is the real nature of this world is without the sun, right? One of the verses before was talking about that. It's complete black. You cannot even see your hand in front of your face. That's the real nature of this world, right? That's why we say, Om Ajnana Tamarandasya. I'm born in the darkness of ignorance. Literally, we are born into a dark, dark place full of ignorance. Now imagine what life would be without the sun. Sometimes we see a blind person and we think, oh, how unfortunate. He's blind from birth, maybe, or, or he becomes blind and then they live in darkness. How unfortunate, we think. But how unfortunate is anyone in the material world, isn't it? Because we're all blind, we're all born in dark, even though we can see, we're still in complete darkness until we get the shelter of the pure representative of Krishna, who opens our eyes, right? I'm born in the darkness, ignorance. The spiritual masters open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Off my bases unto him. This is it. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. This is what taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada does in the disciples' succession. One devotee asked Srila Prabhupada one time, what's the most important verse in the, and Prabhupada told him, Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasyaiti Katita Yarta Prakashante Mahamana. Those souls who have implicit faith, the Supreme Personality got it in his devotee, Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru. Those who have implicit faith, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are revealed from within automatically. You don't have to be a great scholar. Sometimes that's a disqualification. Hare Krishna. Sometimes it's a great disqualification to be a great scholar, right? You think you're very intelligent, and then no. What's important in devotional service is to understand, like we're saying, Krishna is so unlimitedly great, and we're so inconceivably small, right? We're so tiny. We're not this body. We know that. We're not this body. We hear that every day. But then the ego wants to think, I am this body. This is me. I am the doer. Prakriti kriyamanani guna karma sarvashaha. I'm doing everything. No. We're instruments. This body's just an instrument of our karma. And so much of our life, most of it's, except what we progress in devotional service, it's already destined. We're already destined to get so much happiness in life, so much material distress. So much material happiness will be there in the form, what is material happiness? Wealth, relationships, right? Our position, all these material things are already destined from our past life. And what else? So much pain, we'll get disease, we'll get heartbreak. All these things are already there, destined in our chart. If you get in the past, especially, you get an astrologer, the science has deteriorated, but it's still there. They can tell you when you're born, you get so much happiness, so much distress, so many you have a wonderful marriage, or you'll be a millionaire or a billionaire. But therefore, one shouldn't endeavor so much in this material way. Just like it says, we should endeavor for, no one goes out and looks for unhappiness, right? How can I go find misery? No one does that. Let me go look for some sickness somewhere. Let me go try and infect myself. No, it's always the opposite. We got the masks now. But we're always looking for happiness. But in the same way that you're unfortunate and your unhappiness comes, the same way it says your happiness comes without your separate endeavor. Tasyaiva heta prayate kovida nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada. Narayana Muni says, one who's kovita, one who's intelligent, should endeavor only for that which you cannot get from going to Brahma Loka all the way down. You should endeavor for that. And What is that? What can't you get by looking all over the universe? It's the shelter, the lotus feet of pure devotee. You should look for that. You should try to look and revive your love for Krishna, right? That's what you can change. That's what you should endeavor for. That's not destined. How much you advance in Krishna consciousness, that's not your destiny. That's from your soul, from your desire. That you can change. How much will I progress in this life, in my Krishna consciousness? Will I finish my business this life? Will I get 10%? Will I come up to 50% of love for God? Or I can get 100% if we want. That's the, Srila Prabhupada said that we can get 100% love for God if we endeavor properly and pray intensely. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riddeshi Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, right? Sarvasya Chaham Ridi Sanivasto Mataks Matir Jnana Apohanam Cha. Krishna says, I'm in everyone's heart. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Krishna is there in our heart, in everybody's heart. And those that take shelter of him through devotional service, they get Krishna's special attention. There's a wonderful talk Prabhupada gave, I was listening to it a while back, and Prabhupada said you should take to devotional service because there's no loss, right? If someone comes just for a few days and chants Hare Krishna, does some service, even comes and takes a little prasad, they've started the process. But if you don't come, what is the gain? Someone could be the richest man in the world, but if they haven't done devotional service, the time of death, that's all just taken away. And you start with a blank slate again, or not blank, Kali Yuga, you're going down. You know, most people are going down to see our friend Yamaraj. But if you take the devotional service, even 1%, Prabhupada said the benefit is Krishna becomes attached to you. Yeah, Krishna becomes attached to you once you come and render just a little service. There's that story in the storefront back in 26 Second Avenue in the early days. This kind of like bum came in. People were really worried what's going on. He comes in and he had a roll of tissue paper, right? He put it there. He started the process. Krishna become attached to him. He gave some service to my pure devotee, isn't it? So that's the wonderful benefit of devotional service. We're all guaranteed next life a very wonderful birth in the heavens, if you like, or even more fortunate, you take birth in a devotee family, right? Suchinam Shinmatam Yoga Jayate. You take birth. That's the wonderful thing in devotional service. And you start from where you left off, right? If you did 25% next life, you'll start again right at that point. But again, it's Srila Prabhupada has instructed us, don't wait for another life. Don't procrastinate. Oh, okay, I'm good now. Material energy is still attractive. Let me, I'll put my devotional service on the side now. It's just too much. Mine's always haunting me, and I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to dive back into material nature and enjoy. But next life, you get a good situation. But what's the guarantee? Maya's always there, isn't Maya's always there, tempting us. And you could become misled so easily again. It's very risky. And it's not in our self-interest. What's the benefit of Krishna consciousness? You start to understand that this pursuit in the material world for material happiness, it's not our it's not going to make us happy. These things are just mirages in the desert of Maya. You see a nice oasis, you're in the desert, and you see a wonderful water, you're running, and there's nothing there. That's Maya's trick. We like the soul is like the fish out of the water. Nothing's going to satisfy us till we go back into the spiritual energy. And this is the spiritual energy. We're in the spiritual energy right now. We're in Krishna consciousness. This is purifying us. And then we can start, when we start to get a taste for devotional service, that's what we want to strive for that. Now we start devotional service with a little faith, right? Ado Shraddha. Then you get sadhu sangha. You start to come and you want to associate with the devotees. You want to do some service for devotees, the spiritual master, sadhu sangha. Then if one's the next step, one's, yes, I'm going to take this seriously. I'm going to actually follow the prescription, what the Acharya said. I'll chant 16 rounds and I'll follow the principles, the 4 regulated principles. I'm going to try and make some tangible advancement. This comes from being with devotees, from hearing, from sadhu sangha. What's the best sadhu sangha? Right here, hearing from Srila Prabhupada. We want to hear from the Paramahamsa. It's nice. This is the ultimate. The pure devotee's voice is saturated with. It comes right from Goloka. So this is very purifying. And what happens then? Bhajana Kriya, then Anartha Nivriti, then all these horrible things that hamper our progress in devotional service, right? We find problems becoming steady in devotional service. We're haunted by material desires. So these anarthas, these will be washed off. It's like devotional service. We're in the shower, washing all these dirty things off. And what happens after you're in the shower, cleaning off, then you become clean. Then the next stage is nista, right? You get more fixed up in the knowledge. You become more convinced. Yeah, actually, yes, this makes sense. Krishna is God. I'm getting more and more convinced about it. So nista, then ruchi. Then you start to actually get a taste. You have to awaken this taste. And then it progresses, and finally, full love for Krishna becomes manifested in our hearts. And Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to taste that also, and to not only to taste it, but to show us what is pure love for Krishna. He was in Radharani's love for Krishna, Mahabhav. Of course, we cannot enter that, but Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic symptoms are there in the Chaitanya Chaitamrita. Such intense devotional ecstasies. And this is what we're searching for, life after life, this love for Krishna. What's it say? Bilvamangal Thakur maybe says, since I have directly seen you, my transcendental bliss has taken the shape of a great ocean. Being situated in that ocean, I now realize all other so-called happiness, including impersonal Brahman happiness, to be no better than a drop of water, in the shallow hoofprint of a calf or something. So you take a little cup of water and you compare it with the ocean. So Bill Mangal Thakur realized, I was just trying to be happy with this little cup of water. But actually, what we want is the ocean of happiness. That's the only thing that's going to satisfy us. And how you get there, again, it's just executing devotional service. Will take us to that platform. Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshastika prayers, he says, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can become freed from all undesirable habits. This is a means of awakening all good fortune and initiating the flow of the waves of love for Godhood. So it's a very simple process. Right? We hear that verse, Harinam, 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 Eva Keva, Kalo, Nasteva, 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 Tiranyata. It's to really emphasize 3 times, do this, do this, do this. Then it says again, don't do this, no other way, no other way, no other way. So there's actually 6 emphasis there, that the holy name is the only way. And Mahaprabhu says, simply by chanting the holy name, one freed from all undesirable habits, and it awakens your love for God. So it's a simple process, chanting Hare Krishna mantra and avoiding the offenses, and trying to always remind us that we're actually very, very insignificant. And we have no significance really. Because, we're not the body, and actually our size is tiny. You take like a grain of sand at the beach and look at the sand, and we're smaller than that. We're smaller, 10,000's the tip of a hair. Krishna's Kaviraj, he gives this was when Srila Prabhupada was coming over on Jaladuta, he said, my only solace is reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also he said that our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, it was his favorite book in the later years. He would simply read Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a wonderful literature. And see, I pulled up something here this morning, a quote from Krishna Das. He says, he's discussing this verse, Tranada Pisunichana, one should be humble in the blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others. And he says, raising my hands, I declare, everyone, please hear me. String this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. Always remember this verse. I'm lower than the blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree. This is how we can progress nicely in Krishna consciousness. Don't become proud, Prabhupada said. Then we set ourselves up to be kicked by Maya. Pride will do that. And when another nice example, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one day his servant Govinda went to see Haridas Thakur, take him his prasad. Every day he'd get prasad and Mahaprabhu would visit him. But this one time, Govinda, Lord Chaitanya's servant, gave him prasad, and Haridas wasn't doing very well. He said, we read the verse. You read the verse, we discussed it on Haridas's disappearance, but he said, yes, my mind and intelligence, what was it, Molly? He said, that verse, Haridas, he said, how are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Remember what he said?
Yeah, it's like my body is okay, but
Oh,
yeah, my
okay.
mind is intelligence.
Right, my body's okay, but my mind, he said, what is your disease? Can you ascertain what your problem is?
Mhm.
And what was the answer?
But the first answer was that he couldn't finish his round.
He couldn't finish his
That
rounds.
was the first answer.
Yeah, right.
And later on he said, but the truth is that he didn't want to leave.
Okay,
He didn't want to stay here while he knew that the Lord's pastime was
right.
coming to a close.
Yeah, he realized Mahaprabhu would be leaving soon. And he didn't want to take part in that pastime. So then Mahaprabhu granted Haridas Thakur his desire to depart before him. And I think the next day, actually, they came and Haridas departed. But they were all glorifying Srila Haridas Thakur. He's an Namacharya. He's Lord Brahma taking birth as Haridas Thakur, the greatest living being in the universe taking birth. And they were glorifying him. And he said, what is the significance if an ant dies right? Like right now, there's an ant dying out there somewhere in the yard. What's the significance? So that was Haridas Thakur's mentality. I'm nobody, I'm insignificant. What is the loss to the world if an insignificant ant dies? This is me, you just unnecessary glorifying me. So he's showing the humility. And again, these qualities are there in the pure devotees. They all feel like this. And if we have pride, of course, we all have pride and ego, but as we advance in Krishna consciousness, again, this is an anartha, it becomes diminished more and more as we progress. So the instruction of the sages is, remember this verse. Don't become proud, no matter what your position, always be humble and meek. And again, this to help facilitate this, we always hear Kirtaniya Siddhahari. Lord Chaitanya says, in such a state of mind, one can always chant the holy name. And it's always, the instruction is there. We're supposed to hear and chant and engage in devotional service 24 hours a day. And then we'll always be reminded of our position. And it helps when we hear like that. It reminds us, yes, I'm just an insignificant part and parcel of Krishna. And so, let's see here. Any questions up to this point? Okay, let's see. Yeah, so there's a nice, like we're talking about, this world is dark. So there's a nice little excerpt from a lecture I'll read by Srila Prabhupada about being in the darkness. He says, so our position we cannot see, still we are proud. Can you show me God? He does not think his incapability, that I cannot see even, I cannot see even our day, I cannot see even our daily necessities of life without the sunlight. Therefore, here it is said, Adhyatma Dipam, it is the light. If you want to see God, then you have to see through this light. And for whom this seeing is necessity, it is not necessary for ordinary rascals. It is necessary, atitir shatam tamo nidam, one who is sober to think that we are put into the darkness, we require light. Unless God gives us the light, the sunlight, we are always in the night. We cannot see. Tamo nidam. Those who are intelligent, they say, why shall I remain in this darkness if there is light? Just like in daytime, if there's a dark room where we are staying, if we hear that, why shall I stay in this darkness? There is light, enough sunlight outside. Immediately we'll be busy. Let me go to the light. Why shall I remain in this dark room? Similarly, the sober man, intelligent man, he will think that I am put into this material world, which is full of darkness. Is there any light where I can go? That is intelligence. He is daily, he said. And then he says, in the northern part of the hemisphere, there is 6 months no light. So it is intelligence, why we are discovering so many electricity light, because we want light. Therefore, the intelligent person should be that this material world is by nature dark, whether there is another nature where there is only light. So it's common sense. And it's obvious, like we say, we just think this world is by nature a very dark place. What brought us here, isn't it? Like when Lord Brahma created, and he woke up and it was all dark. He didn't know what to do. So after some time, he crawled down the lotus stem, and at some point he heard within his heart, isn't it? Tapa, right? He has to do tapa. He has to do some austerity, some penance. So then Lord Brahma underwent some penance for so many thousands of years. And then that's when the Brahma Samhita was written. Lord Brahma got a revelation of the spiritual world. He got a glimpse of Goloka Vrindavan, and he wrote the Brahma Samhita based on that revelation. So that's what we say. He opens my darkened eyes, fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. So this knowledge was revealed within the heart by serving the Lord, by serving Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. And this is the intelligent thing, to ask the questions, not to go your whole life trying to solve these problems, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. It's unfortunate, isn't it? We see everybody's just completely engaged in their whole life just goes by, and it's next thing you know, they're on their deathbed, and then it's too late. They wasted their whole life, captivated by the material energy. How long should class go on? How long is class usually?
Oh, well, it's, and then this class comes to closure only around 9 to 9:30. And we started a little earlier than usual today, so there's no rules or regulations.
Okay.
If you want to continue to share the nectar, or if you want to open it up for questions and comments,
Yeah.
according to your inspiration.
Okay, sure. So Prahlad Maharaj says also that there's some nice verses by Prahlad. He says, unless one serves the lotus feet, Naisamatis Tava Urukamamgrim, that you have to serve the lotus feet of those devotees who are completely free from all material contamination. We have to be under the shelter of that topmost pure devotee, Uttama Adhikari. This is the philosophy. We need that shelter to guide us back to Godhead. And that shelter is there in Srila Prabhupada. So we should all feel very confident. We have the greatest shelter. And what's wonderful to watch is the different Prabhupada memories that devotees give. Anyone that saw Srila Prabhupada, the Vapu form, his personal form, they were like amazed by his qualities, and compassion, and he touched people, and he was an expert preacher. He knows exactly according to time, place, circumstance, because he's a pure devotee is also the greatest yogi. We think sometimes we see the pure devotee, like many devotees when Prabhupada was here, they had this personal association, quite often. And the danger is you start to become familiar. You start to think he's an ordinary person, like, he's a buddy, or, you start to take him for granted, because the pure devotee is the most humble. But he's the most exalted. He's direct representative of Mahaprabhu, especially Srila Prabhupada. All the acharyas are wonderful, ecstatic, completely pure. And Srila Prabhupada even, he has a special significance because his appearance was predicted by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Even Lord Krsna, back 5,000 years ago, was telling Mother Ganga, about his prediction. There's 2 or 3 different indications of Srila Prabhupada coming. And Lord Chaitanya comes to this planet. We know there's millions and millions of planets in this one universe. We know there's unlimited universes, right? You cannot count how many universes are there. Innumerable. Just like the pores on our body. How many can you count them? So the pores, they come out of Mahavishnu's pores, universes, and out of his breathing, universes. Then when he breathes in, they're all back. But similarly, there's millions of planets in this universe. And Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, they come to this planet. And but it's a universal affair. Because all the demigods from the different planets, they come here to get Lord Chaitanya's association. When Lord Chaitanya was here, they were all coming daily, different demigods, dressed as human beings. Some dressed in female forms, some dressed in male forms, and coming to get his Sangha, in Navadvip and Jagannath Puri, and they'd get the mercy of Mahaprabhu and his devotees, and then they'd take it back to their planet. So Krishna consciousness spread all over the universe by Lord Chaitanya. It's coming here because they came here and then they took it back with them. So Krishna consciousness is now all over the universe. Srila Prabhupada, his unique qualities are that he is the one that came and not predicted, but he fulfilled the prediction of the previous acharyas. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had wanted, Krishna consciousness spread over the world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, soon a great person will come and spread this Krishna consciousness all over the planet. Lord Chaitanya, of course, we know his prediction that in every town and village of the world, my name would be heard. But some misinterpreted this. They think it meant just in India, every town and village in India. But no, it meant, the real understanding was in the world. And so, we know Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great, he's a great intimate associate of Mahaprabhu and Krishna. He prayed for a son, right, that could come and help in his mission, right? He said, please, my Lord, send somebody to help continue this mission when I'm gone. And that was his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He was born with the, umbilical cord around his neck. And his life, there was a mark, there was a mark on his body, for his whole life, this cord. And different pastimes were there showing that he is this person, when there was a Jagannath Rath Yatra in Puri, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the magistrate there. Somehow mysteriously the cart stopped in front of his house. And then his wife, Bhaktisiddhanta's mother, took the opportunity to bring out the baby that was just born and get the Lord's blessing. So she put him up in front of Jagannath, and the Lord's garland fell around him. So then they knew that this was a child, very special child. And you see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's life, such a great acharya, a resident of Goloka Vrindavan, undoubtedly. He was, one time he took the boga mango, right? When he's like 6 or 7, or maybe younger, even younger. And his father said, oh, this is offensive. You took the mango, it's not even offered. And he said, from that time, never had mango in his whole life. So what an austerity. Have a nice ripe mango, so sweet. Never in his life, again, he touched mango. So this is his caliber. And then his disciple, who fulfilled, was Srila Prabhupada. Imagine Srila Prabhupada's glories. Look what he did. Spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. You read his poems on the Jaladuta, right? Who would get 69 years old, endeavor? He's in pure love for Krishna in Vrindavan, tasting the highest mellows in ecstasy and devotional service. He didn't need to leave, but because he had, he had the order of his guru, and my life is to please my spiritual master. That's disciples. I need to execute the order of my spiritual master. So we should all feel like that. We need to execute the instructions of Srila Prabhupada to our dying breath. And so Srila Prabhupada, in spite of his being, very nicely situated in Vrindavan. He had always been working, thinking, when will I be able to go to the West, printing the Bhagavatams. So then he came at that advanced stage. He's a beggar, begging for money, begging for the trip over. He had no money. Krishna took everything away. He said he could have been as rich as Birla, right? He could have, but somehow Krishna switched it and took everything away. And he became even more determined to serve my spiritual master. It said for his glorification, and the future generations will glorify Srila Prabhupada for his outstanding achievements, what he's done. To come over with practically no money. Basically, he had some useless rupee currency, $7 in rupees, which you couldn't even use in the US. You know, even now you take rupees and they don't take them most places. So, but and then you see his what he suffered, material hardships coming, and then his poetry on the Jaladuta is, you know, indicative of his pure attachment to Krishna. So, and then again, Krishna, he said, just, I want to be an instrument, Krishna, just you make me dance. Let me become your puppet, whatever you want to do. Please empower me. Please make my words suitable. So then again, Krishna, for his glorification, Krishna tested him in New York. He was there without apparently any material, any success for so many months, right? So, but then finally, when the time was right, Krishna manifested everything within such a short time. It's amazing what you know, how Krishna empowered him. So this is our shelter. This is our solid shelter, the greatest, practically the greatest acharya in the universe we have as our shelter. So our only business is to hear from him and to try and serve him and serve his followers. And so I guess we can open for any questions or comments. If anybody has any, we could maybe say a few more things. Yeah, it says here in the verse that within Prabhupada talks, knowledge of the self can expand to the knowledge of phenomena. So knowledge of the self, the Krishna consciousness, it doesn't keep us, you know, down and with our blinders on. It opens the whole material universe. The whole, opens a spiritual world. You get the seed of Bhakti Lata Beach, right? Prabhupada's giving us the seed, puts it in our heart, right? And we water this daily, hearing and chanting. We water in the seed. And it's not an ordinary seed. This is a seed. It takes us right all the way beyond the universe. It penetrates the layers of the universe, you know, the different crusts of the universe, because this is Durga, great prison. Nobody can get out. But this seed, Bhakti Lata Beach, by watering it, hearing and chanting, it takes us up through the material coverings of the universe into the Brahma Jyoti, and then it keeps growing beyond the Vaikuntha planets. It's passing all the Vaikuntha planets. It's heading to Goloka, right? So then Mahaprabhu describes this watering, this seed of devotion, Bhakti Lata Beach. It goes, ultimately rests in Goloka Vrindavan and starts to bear fruit. And then the watering process, what we're doing, hearing and chanting, it's continuous. It always goes on. And this is what feeds and waters our creeper of devotion. So these fruits, and then they develop and they ripen. And then we taste the love for God when it's fully ripened. And that's what Mahaprabhu tasted. And that's what all the devotees, the pure devotees, that's why they're unshakable. Haridas Thakur, example. Maya Devi herself. Imagine how attractive. Maya personified went to see him. we see, here we're attracted to different forms and this, but Maya herself, with everything she got, came to Haridas to tempt him to fall down. But it was like crying in the forest. If someone's crying in the forest now, you're gonna hear it. So because he's relishing that love for God. This is a joke, what are you trying? And so he was just there. There's like before that Maya Devi came, but Maya Devi then she took initiation. She wanted the holy name. So he initiated her into the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So she became disciple of Haridas Thakur. But before that, there was another incident when the local prostitute came, right? Tried to tempt him. And he said, yes, I knew immediately why you were here, but I just stayed to deliver you. I was, for 3 days, he was chanting, she was chanting with him. She bowed to Tulsi, and then she changed. So it's not like the pure devotees ever tempted. This love for Krishna is there. And there's no question of them being swayed once you reach that level of devotional service. So this is all of our aspiration, and by associating with one another properly and constantly serving Srila Prabhupada, hearing, this is our great, what we have in store for us. So. Any other questions? Hey, Gajendra, Haribol.
Hare Krishna, good morning. Tejaprakash Prabhu, I wanted to just express my appreciation of the class, and just on a personal level, just a personal appreciation when you were talking about Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta and Bhakti Vinod. I just really felt a really kind of powerful energy and an appreciation and realization that it really inspired me just to see how great these personalities are, how great Srila Prabhupada is. And to realize that there's no obstacle. They are fully transcendental personalities, and that I have this opportunity to connect to who they are and the mission that they were fulfilling and be a part of that. I have that opportunity to serve and to be a part of it. It's not like they're separate, distant people that I can't be connected with, and that's something that they did, but that I can serve them and try to glorify them by myself, just being of service and serving that mission. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a really strong feeling, and it feels like exciting.
Jai Prabhu, thank you for your sharing. That's, we all have such incredible, we have direct access to these great acharyas through Srila Prabhupada. And I remember there's some remembrances when Prabhupada was departing. There's one devotee was saying, they were crying, Prabhupada, you're leaving. Why, Prabhupada said, why are you crying? He says, I'm an old man. He said, no, you're leaving us, Srila Prabhupada. He said, no, I'm old. It's natural. Old men, old people, when they get old, they die. And he said, no, Prabhupada, we're saying you're leaving us. And we need your shelter. Who's going to guide us? Who's going to enliven us and give us guidance? He said, no. He said, Krishna is there in your heart as Chaitra Guru, right? Krishna in the heart, it's called Chaitra Guru. And he said, and I will also come and give you guidance. I'll come in dreams, he says. I can come to you in your dreams and give you guidance. So this is there. Prabhupada can come. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, all these great acharyas can come to us in our dreams and guide us. And day-to-day life, like you say, we always go inward, pray to the Lord. We know Krishna's in our heart, obviously. He's beating our heart. And Srila Prabhupada's in our heart. And there's a nice, in the concluding words in the Chaitanya Chaitamrita, it's a very nice passage by Srila Prabhupada. He's saying, do you have that available? The last Anjali?
Yeah.
I'll just read it real quick.
Sure.
Prabhupada describes about Krishna in the heart. But, yeah, we tend to forget our fortune, isn't it? We tend to forget our fortune. And we're reading about, sometimes we feel like overwhelmed. Thank you. We feel overwhelmed by the material energy, because she's relentless. She never stops. How am I ever gonna? But this is a test. This is her test to make sure, are we ready to get this most precious gift we've been waiting for millions of births? Are we eligible this life to get that? Just like Maharaj Prataparudra, he wanted to see Mahaprabhu, and no matter what, Lord Chaitanya said, no, I'm leaving this village. If your devotees keep asking this, I'm not going to stay. So Maharaj Prataparudra, he knew the secret. He was very determined. He was serving and pleasing the Lord's devotees. Then he said, if Lord Chaitanya is not going to see me, then I'm just going to give up my life. His determination was such. And so because he served the devotees and he had such determination, we know, he got Lord Chaitanya's darshan, he got to massage him, and so many other interchanges he had with the Lord because of his determination. So Krishna's testing us. And again, like we're saying, Krishna's Rishikesh, right? Controller of the senses. And he's controlling universes are flowing in and out. He's so powerful. How difficult is Krishna to give us a little strength in devotional service? How difficult is it for him to do? Can he do that? He can give us strength. He just has to say, there. If we just show him, he can give us strength to overcome any obstacle. But we have to have the faith that he'll do that and determination. So we have to pray for that. The faith and determination to be able to persevere and to pray to Prabhupada constantly for the strength to endure and advance in devotional service. So here, I'll read this passage here. Okay, Srila Prabhupada says, I think that His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, has always seen my activities in guiding me within my heart by His words. As is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Teni Brahma Rida Ya Adi Tavaye, spiritual inspiration comes from within the heart, wherein the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His paramount feature is always sitting with all His devotees and associates. Krishna's in the heart with all His devotees and associates. So that's a nice realization. Everything's within our heart. Srila Prabhupada's there, the whole succession is there. We just have to, like you say, pray to them, and we'll get the necessary shakti to, continue in our service to their lotus feet. Malin?
Thank you for very enlivening class. I appreciated all you went to so many places, exciting places. I started to even know where to go because it was so exciting. And related to what you just said, like the pure devotee is always with us. And when I was in Gita Nagari, like a bunch of us, like, Vijayavati, Swarga and Kesha, a bunch of us, we went to see a psychic lady because we took a course on craniosacral, massage, whatever. We all went that. So Rukmavati was there, those people. So that's why I said their name because them. So we went to see that psychic lady, And we spent the weekend with her. And the first evening we were there, we were doing kirtan and all that. She was not a devotee, but we were. So we did what devotee do. We did kirtan and all that. And the next day she said, I see a man around all of you. Because she could see beyond matter. She said, I see that man. All of you around your aura, there's that man. And so we were like, oh, we know who that is. and then we gave her a book, and she looked at the picture on the back of the book. She says, "This is him. This is him."
Wow.
So related to your point that
Right.
yeah, like Srila Prabhupada could see his spiritual master constantly with him, and of course, so many devotees, like only 10% of us are not liberated. So
Right.
there's like 9 for 1 kind of
Yeah.
of
Right.
people rooting for us.
Right.
And so she could see something we couldn't see, but she could see Srila Prabhupada around us.
That's nice. Thank you for that. It's,
Yeah.
it's a
And-
good realization. Prabhupada's there.
Is always there with us. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
right. You never leave
Right.
us.
Whether we know it or not,
Whether we are
They're there.
watching or not, yeah.
we have to use our intelligence to understand he is there. And if we pray intensely enough, they will guide us and maybe sometimes even appear to us.
And then you made a point about the part of the purport where Srila Prabhupada said, when we are spiritual knowledge, that knowledge will give us phenomenal knowledge. And what I found really amazing in this part of the Bhagavatam is that for most of us, maybe some of us is different, but for most of us, is that we can maybe repeat, but everything described is quite inconceivable and not reachable by our capacity to understand. And Prabhupada swimming in his water there. All his purports are so much a proof of what he's saying in that sentence. Because he's a pure devotee of all knowledge of spiritual matter. And because of that, we understand the intricacy of the phenomenal world in such a detailed way that all those verses for him is just, it's obvious. It's like us missing that chair. Yes, there's a chair, there's wood, there's a carpenter, there's all that. And that's a level of my perception of knowledge. But Prabhupada understands how by the desire, like all of us event, by the desire of touch, then the skin came to happen and the connection with the tree. You see it as I see the chair, and that's really inconceivable.
Yes.
And just proving the point that he's making
Yes.
in his own purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you say, when he writes his literature, he's in samadhi. He says he read his own books. He said, "I didn't write them. It's because Christians. These are Christians' writings." So that's the great danger. Also trying to edit his book to touch what he has. No one has authorized.
Well, how can they be editing any line of those
Yeah.
verse of purpose? Who
Right.
can do that?
Right. Only, and even if you on that level, you won't touch it because
Well,
out of
if-
etiquette.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if someone is on that level and seeing the cosmic manifestation, there was somewhere I see the chair,
Right.
then naturally they will just like honor and worship and glorify Srila Prabhupada's books
Exactly. Yeah.
as they are.
Like you read Krishna Das October, she's talking about Vrindavan Das Thakur. He's constantly glorifying him. He won't touch what he did already, right? He says he's the authorized representative. And I'm just showing whatever remnants he left, whatever he didn't touch, I'm going to explain. So much respect for Vrindavan Das Thakur, who wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So this is a proper mentality. Thank you for that.
I was reading pastime with Prabhupada with his disciples, and they were talking about the Brahma Samhita and saying, Prabhupada, it'd be nice maybe if you could translate some of this Brahma Samhita. And so it'd be more, you know, we can understand you so easily, but Bhakti Siddhanta, we have a difficult time. And Prabhupada was saying, he was laughing and saying, yeah, he's, you know, it's a little an acquired taste, so to speak, or tough to, you know, but he said at the beginning, he didn't really understand Bhakti Siddhanta so much, but he would sit there and listen. In Bhakti Siddhanta, he said, marked him. He said he likes to hear, you know, and it's a qualification that Prabhupada had. He was so, you know, he knew it was the truth and he wanted to hear it. And so you know, that was an interesting, just a determination to really hear Krishna. So, you know, says this person's interested, let me help him, you know. And Prabhupada, of course, went on to become the great Acharya. He was, I guess, it was all Leela, of course. You know,
Bhakti Siddhanta said he'll do everything
right, in time.
You know, he also said, don't change your karma.
Right, yes, yeah, that was there as well, you know.
In the Brahma Samhita, don't even change your karma.
Is there comments online? Any comments or questions from online?
I really like the excerpt, Prabhu, that you read from Prabhupada's lecture, like just the common sense of like the lights are out. It just struck something so deep, so simple and so deep at the same time. Just like if the lights go out, then it's like, well, we want, you know, lights are over there, let's go over there.
Right.
And if it's all dark here, then we're thinking maybe there's a place where there's light, you know, like if the power goes out, then it's like, well, they have power over there, let's go over there. So it's just like such a simple thing, and it's like how much that I'm not doing that. I'm not looking for the light. I'm just like, oh, it's dark here, okay. And I'm just, you know, in ignorance.
Millions of births doing that.
Right.
But when you hear it, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
When you hear it from the pure devotee, just like, yeah, what are we doing?
Right.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Bruce. All glories to the Prabhupada.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I welcome you to stay for prasadam. Please stay for prasadam. Yes. Yeah. Hare Krishna Jai. Hare Bol.